I didn't think at the time in terms of where this was going or anything, or what our style was. Each project seemed like an independent project, and I think that's how we approached it. But I think we started accumulating enough songs that we thought, well, we should have a name, because everybody else had a name. And the first name that we used was Lesser Man, as opposed to, say, Greater Man. It was kind of a play on the idea of devolution and of sort of we actually I did an illustration that showed Homo erectus gradually devolving into Neanderthal, and then the last stage was a man watching a TV, sitting in a chair. So this was kind of the idea of man devolving. And we used that for a while, but I don't think we were very thrilled with it. And then both of us had gone to Catholic school. We're Catholic schoolboys who had kind of like an edge. So we came up with the idea of just calling ourselves Catholic, and that we stayed with. That seemed to fit, and a lot of friends liked it too. And I think, but once again, the first thing we did was around 75, and most of the stuff we composed was between 75 and 77, the bulk of it, 98%. And we had a friend who definitely was encouraging us to try to get some of this stuff released. He started doing artwork for us with images to go with our name, Catholic. And Patrick, I think, started thinking, how it might be possible to perform this music. And by this time, Sylvester was certainly becoming more successful, and Patrick had someone who was starting to promote his music, his musical stuff, dance music that he was producing. So it seemed like there might be some possibility but he played the stuff for the gentleman who was managing his very young music company at the time, Patrick's, which I believe was Megatone in the beginning, or later. It ended up being Megatone. And the man just didn't get it at all. He just thought it was too out there. They were doing dance music as far as he was concerned. So it was 1977. I finished college. I was dying to get out of San Francisco and get closer to where a lot of the music I liked was coming from. So I left, traveled, and settled in London for a while. Patrick was touring with Sylvester and developing his music company and starting to have success with his dance music. And a couple of years went by, and I went back to New York after London in 78, and I really wanted to get a band together. I'd been in London at the height, 77, 78 of the punk period, and thought, okay, I want to go back to New York and get a band. I met some musicians in New York. Nothing really gelled. And then I just decided to go back to San Francisco and try it there. There was a lot of creativity there at the time, and everybody was starting a band. And I knew at least I had my collaboration with Patrick, if nothing else. We could keep making music. And this is 79 now. 2 years have gone by. He's got much more sophisticated recording systems, much more experience and knowledge. And basically, he got very excited that I was back and said, I want to re-record all this stuff, or like make new versions of it. And in a very short period of time, probably about 6 months at the most, we set about just redoing a lot of the dozen or so songs that we had put together those first couple of years when we'd still both been students. Now I think he was more determined that we could get this stuff released, that the time was right. You know, New Wave was really big and, well, was making a much bigger impression. But the funny thing is, still his label manager still had very little interest. He just didn't know how to relate to it. It was not, you know, straight ahead in any way. And I met some musicians who wanted to form a band, and we started a band called Indoor Life, and that just took on a momentum of its own. Patrick had touring to do. So once again, it looked like we were going to go separate ways. But we got Patrick involved with Indoor Life. He actually co-produced our first album and gave it a really nice sound, which would probably be, I guess, the last thing we would do together. Indoor Life, we got an independent contract very quickly and started touring. And time went by. I just didn't want to worry about trying to get this stuff out. I thought, oh, it'll happen when it happens. And